we have a viral outbreak of mutant fungi and a whole lot of trivia.
See it? Just through there, look.
Yeah, I see it.
With a full decade passing since its original release, The Last of Us has solidified its place in the hearts of video game players and continues to thrive in other ways, most notably through the recent TV series. Naturally, we couldn't help ourselves, we just had to talk about the game that started it all and more importantly, what could have been. For starters, did you know that The Last of Us wasn't even originally supposed to be a post-apocalyptic game set in our world? In fact, early development envisioned the entry as a reboot of the cartoony Jak and Daxter games of all things. Early concept art showcased some pseudo-realistic Daxter and a rugged Jak in a steampunk-esque setting. Fits right into that early 2010s edge, don't you think? Of course, with this idea quickly scrapped, the dev team started working on something they were actually passionate about. As you would expect, the early process wasn't exactly smooth. The first ever sparks of inspiration came from creative director Neil Druckmann's days as a grad student, where he had to pitch an idea for a zombie game to George Romero. Yes, the George Romero, the Night of the Living Dead legend himself. The seeds, or spores, for what would eventually become the narrative we know and love were there. Early concepts envisioned the story about a cop protecting a young girl during a zombie apocalypse, with the girl eventually taking the role of the main character. In other words, the Guardian becomes the one who needs to be looked after, a concept that will stay true to the core of The Last of Us. But even with those core ideas intact, some polishing still needed to be done.
There's a place for you here, you know? You good?
I'm good.
There were some bumps in the road. The viral outbreak was initially only going to affect women, with Ellie being the only one that's immune. This made for what we assume was quite an awkward day at the Naughty Dog office. Druckmann's female co-workers had to break the news to him that yes, this idea was unintentionally sexist. As for the core gameplay, early production material shows hints as to how the enemies were initially supposed to pose a threat. Previous artwork shows the infected carrying weapons, with some of them even being merged together as some sort of zombie amalgamation. There's even artwork of a scrapped Cordyceps variant that looked like a flower straight out of H.R. Geiger's dreams. Creepy. At one point, a dog companion for Ellie was even considered. It is unknown how it would have functioned and whether it would have been a constant ally, a bit like a familiar in other games, or a situational gameplay / plot device. But while that was somewhat of a missed opportunity, we dodged a real scary bullet when it came to the antagonist. The overarching human antagonist of The Last of Us is known to everyone. We're talking about the cannibal survivor David. But what if we told you that Tess, Joel's smuggling partner, was meant to take on the role of the human villain, as her initial story arc revolved around taking revenge on Joel for betraying her. This once again got scrapped, as the concept was deemed too unrealistic for a game that otherwise has grounded human drama within a zombie apocalypse. There are aspects of the game's early phases that were kept as little nods within the story or as confirmations by the devs. For one, Joel and Ellie's last names, Miller and Williams respectively, were confirmed and made canon post-fact thanks to the fanbase. In addition to this, it wasn't until the DLC's release that Ellie's sexuality was truly canonized by the producers, as previous interpretations based only on the main game were left in the air, despite the fanbase assurance. Did you enjoy our deep dive into The Last of Us? If there's any other tidbit from the game's early development stages that you know of, be sure to tell us in the comment section. Remember to like the video and subscribe if you want more fun facts, in-depth trivia, and breakdowns of behind-the-scenes knowledge for video games among other geeky things like movies and pop culture icons. Thank you and see you next time.